The following is a conversation with Andrew Sipley. Today, we are going to discuss why all calories are not equal in terms of how they affect the body. Many diets simply tell you to eat a certain number of calories in a day with no regard to where those calories come from. And this is a huge mistake. Numerous people struggle to attain the aesthetics they are looking for because of this. Hence why Andrew and I are going to dive into this topic today. You are listening to the Co-Movement Gym podcast, where we inspire people to move and live courageously. If you are enjoying this content, please support our sponsors in the description. I thank each and every one of you for being on this journey with us. Now, please enjoy the show. Folks, listen up. I want to take a brief moment and thank our podcast show sponsors, Lombardi Chiropractic, Native Path Supplements, and Redmond Life. Lombardi Chiropractic has been my personal chiropractor for 10 years and has kept my body strong and healthy. Native Path Supplements are used by numerous Co-Movement clients and our coaching team here at the facility. I highly recommend that you try their chocolate collagen peptides. I was made aware of Redmond Life by one of our trainers here at the facility. He recommended I try Relight Electrolyte Powder. This supplement has dramatically improved my afternoon energy levels and overall hydration. I'd like to thank these three companies for providing outstanding service and products that make our society healthier and more resilient. Mention the Co-Movement Gym podcast when you call Lombardi Chiropractic, and not only will they treat you like family, they will provide a nice, enticing discount to all listeners. And use code COMO15, that's C-O-M-O 15, at checkout when shopping at nativepath.com or redmond.life and receive 15% off all your orders. Your support to our show sponsors assists in us paying for expenses and continuing to provide content we hope you all enjoy. Andy, welcome back to the Co-Movement Gym podcast. How you doing?
Good to see you. I'm doing good today. How about you?
Good. There's been a topic quite a few people have brought up, especially being New Year's and so forth and so on, with like calories.
Yeah.
There's a lot of confusion with calories.
Yeah.
So we titled this talk, The Calorie Myth, okay?
Yep.
So we have no specific agenda with this other than to provide clarity for people around the differences of the effects of calories on the body.
Yep. Because calories is a broad topic, and the way that people think about calories and the different strategies people use with around calories for weight loss or for health or whatever. So we could go in a million different directions. So we kind of figured we'd just have a nice conversation back and forth and see where it goes with this.
Yeah, it's there's just so much out there, like low calories equals weight loss, and then ignore where the calories are coming from.
Calories in versus calories out.
Exactly.
Does it matter what foods the calories come from?
And people drive themselves nuts, like tracking calories. Like I was under, I was over, and me and you were probably thinking like, well, what did you eat? Like the quality.
Yep.
So I want to start off with a generalized example. I'm going to give a diet number one, diet number two.
Well, before you do that, can I ask you titled this episode The Calorie Myth. Can you clarify what is the calorie myth?
Yeah, so the way that I'm thinking of it is that not all calories are created equal.
Okay, so the myth then is that a calorie is a calorie. Okay.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter where the calories come from. The source doesn't matter. All that really matters is how many calories are in the food, and that's it. That's the myth that you're talking about.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
Yes, cool. So the two diets that I'm going to lay out briefly, we're going to say at the end, they have the same amount of calories. Okay. So diet number one, a donut, oatmeal with sugar, Subway for lunch, spaghetti for dinner, and ice cream for dessert.
Sounds delicious. Let's go with that one.
Yeah. Diet number two, 3 eggs, an avocado, beef jerky, dark green salad with olive oil and salmon, steak and sweet potatoes, and Greek yogurt for dessert. Okay.
Yeah.
Same amount of calories.
Okay.
You and I know the results of that are dramatically different.
Yeah.
So let's just throw it out there. Why? I know it's a huge answer, but let's just simplify it for people.
Yep. So, I mean, the first thing that I would say is that food quality is incredibly important. I think most people know this. I don't think this is as pervasive as of a myth as we might think. Like, most people know that if you get 100 calories from Coca-Cola and you get 100 calories from baked salmon, one of those things is good for you and one of them is not. And people might not know like why or whatever, or the details, but people tend to know that there are foods out there, drinking a bunch of Coca-Cola every day or eating a bunch of, Skittles and candy all day. Those foods are not as good for you as, say, like some fruits and vegetables and eggs and salmon or whatever. So that's what that question really boils down to is, you're saying these things have equal amounts of calories, but they have different effects on the body. And it's because of the fact that one food might be devoid of nutrients. One food might be like super high in sugar, which has problematic effects, or high in other ingredients, vegetable oils, who knows, some things that are bad for you. The other food might have beneficial things like vitamins, minerals, protein, perhaps fiber, things like that. So there's differences. Even though they have the same calories, they supply different things to the body, and those different things have different effects.
For sure. So talking about effects, let's get into the glycemic index of the food. Okay. So if you have, let's say, white pasta, versus spinach and olive oil, and they're the same amount of calories. Can you explain to listeners the difference and how that affects the body?
Well, the pasta is a lot of carbohydrates. The spinach and olive oil is a lot of fats. And so there's a lot of differences there we can talk about. But you wanted to know, you said something about the glycemic index. That's where you want to go? Okay. So the glycemic index is not something I really talk about very much, but it's pretty much just how quickly a food will raise your blood sugar levels. And that can be problematic for a lot of reasons. Huge blood sugar excursions are not a good thing. You don't want to spike your blood sugar regularly or very high. So something like the pasta that you brought up, that has a very high glycemic index. It'll shoot your blood sugar through the roof, which most doctors and nutritionists and so on will tell you is problematic for several reasons for your health. That spinach and olive oil is not going to raise your blood sugar at all. I mean, for one thing, there's no sugar or carbohydrates in it, so it couldn't anyway. But as far as the glycemic index, one is a high glycemic index food, one is a low glycemic index food, and that's the difference between those.
So when it comes to fat storage, if an individual is consuming more high GI foods, they're more apt to gain fat. Is that true? If they're not using it for immediate energy?
Yeah. So those are the caveats. This comes down to like some of the fear mongering around carbohydrates and stuff. We've always said, like, I mean, I eat a certain amount of carbs every day, maybe 150, 200 grams. You eat some carbs every day, probably about the same amount.
And I'm actually eating a little bit more now.
Yeah. And I like carbs. Carbs are not like the devil or something to be demonized. The problem is having excessive amounts of them. The typical American might consume 300, 400, 500 grams of carbs, and that can lead to problems. Your question as far as fat gain, so the high glycemic index foods, you're wondering what that effect would have on fat gain?
Yeah, if someone were to eat the equivalent in calories of pasta versus the equivalent in spinach and olive oil.
Yeah.
And they're the same activity rate, let's say sedentary.
Okay.
Will there be, or is there, a difference in how that is stored with fat within the body?
Actually, no, not really. In both cases, you're taking in a certain amount of energy, whether it's from carbohydrates or fat. And that energy, if this person is sedentary, like you said, they're not really using much energy. It's probably all going to be stored on the body as energy, which typically is fat stores. This person has full glycogen levels because they're sedentary. So both of those are going to be stored as fat. The caveat you gave earlier, if we have activity levels, that's where a high glycemic food might not be problematic. If you just finished a hard 5K row, you can go inside and you can eat a bag of Skittles if you want to. I don't recommend it. There's more nutritious things. But you can eat high glycemic foods, that pasta you were talking about, and it's just going to replenish your glycogen. So there's a lot of nuances with this kind of stuff. Which is why we're doing more of a discussion instead of trying to outline some lecture here because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. So when we look at like overall health and body composition, again, so you're saying though, if they're both sedentary, both of them would be almost the equivalent effect on the body.
No.
Okay.
You only asked about kind of like immediate fat storage from that meal.
Yep.
But there are other things that those foods are doing to you. So for example, the pasta spiking your blood sugar is damaging to your arterial lining, which can lead to atherosclerosis. That's problematic. The spinach and olive oil isn't doing that. The high blood sugar excursion from the pasta is inflammatory. Okay. That's a problem.
Sure.
It leads to a lot of health issues.
Okay.
The olive oil and spinach is actually anti-inflammatory thanks to the olive oil, so you're getting an opposite effect there. If you're eating high glycemic foods regularly, like if this is your regular sort of thing, you do cereal for breakfast, a granola bar for a snack, the pasta for lunch, and so on. You're spiking insulin all day long, which is going to lead to potential problems down the line that we've talked about on other episodes. Insulin resistance becomes an issue, that sort of thing. The spinach and olive oil is not going to do that. The spinach and olive oil is going to lead to more of a fat metabolism as opposed to your body just having to deal with all these carbs you're throwing in. So with this one particular meal and the way that you store fat from this one meal, no, there's no difference. It's the same. But the long-term consequences of doing this regularly have dramatic differences. So if you're talking about like who's going to store more fat in the long term, the person doing the high glycemic stuff regularly is probably 10 years from now going to look a lot different from the person who's eating the healthier, lower glycemic foods.
Even though the calories are the same.
Even though the calories are the same.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And that's, I guess a big takeaway from today's talk that we're going to be getting at is looking at the quality of the foods that you're consuming, not just calories.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so why, we've been told for years that eating less calories will make me skinnier. Okay.
Yeah.
So why in many cases do low-calorie diets fail?
Yes, that's a good question. So first I'll say low-calorie diets don't fail. They work. They work really well. If I'm going on a trip in a couple weeks, or someone has like a wedding or whatever, the typical scenario, and they want to lose some weight, they want to get down to a lower pant size or whatever, 2 weeks from now, a low-calorie diet is a great way to make that happen. Sure. You can cut your calories. You normally eat 2,400 calories a day. You cut it down to 1,200 calories a day. You will lose fat. You will lose that pant size, whatever, And bodybuilders have shown this. Like we have a good friend, Bob, and he was an expert at this. He knew there was an exact date I was going to get on that stage. I have to be 3% body fat. And he significantly cut his calories in the few weeks leading up to that, and he timed it perfectly. The problem with that approach, for one thing, is it's certainly not sustainable. Like the more that you cut calories, the hungrier you're going to get, and the more your body is going to be like, feed me, please. So Bob, after that successful bodybuilding show, the next day would be ravenously hungry and would eat, and within a few days he's back up to his normal body fat levels.
Sure.
The person who's going on the trip in 2 weeks, you can cut calories for a couple of weeks, lose that weight, but you're going to end up having to pay that back at some point. You're like robbing Peter to pay Paul, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So that's one thing. Why these diets don't work in the long term is the more that you lower your calories, your body adjusts also by lowering its metabolic rate.
Okay.
So if I'm eating, say, 2,000 calories a day and I want to start losing weight and I take the calorie approach, I cut down to 1,800 calories a day. That'll work for a couple weeks, but then my body will like lower its metabolism to match, and then I'll have to lower it to 1,600 calories a day.
No way.
And then, so your metabolism kind of tracks with the amount of calories you take in.
Really? Okay. I didn't know it was like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that's one reason why low-calorie diets don't work in the long term. For one thing, they're going to make you hungrier, and it's going to be hard to stay on.
Okay.
But even if you do have the willpower to stick with it, And some people do. Some people like have that strong willpower and they cut calories for several months or whatever. Eventually they plateau because their metabolism goes from burning a certain amount daily down to 50% of that or whatever. So you're tanking your metabolism. And now you're in a worse place than when you started, because now you have such a low metabolism that just to maintain the weight that you're at, you have to eat that low calorie amount. And the second you slip up and you start eating a few more calories, you just gain that weight back. So once again, low calorie, like cutting calories to lose weight is not a sustainable approach. Yes, for like a 1 week, 2 week, a bodybuilding show, whatever.
Sure.
But it's not going to work in the long run.
That's interesting. So someone that is, let's say, trying to lose weight and they're eating 800 calories a day and they've stalled out.
Yeah.
That's because their metabolism has matched
their calorie intake.
Great insight. So what advice would you give to that person? Because there's a lot of people like that.
Well, if someone is in that position where they have cut calories and now their metabolism is down at the floor, they have to do, the popular term now is reverse dieting, and that's getting their metabolism back up to a healthy level by increasing their calories, which is a scary thing for that person to do. They're trying to lose weight.
Yes.
But that person's down, you said 800 calories a day. They need to, for the next week, take in 900 calories a day. The week after that, 1,000 calories a day. The week after that, 1,100 calories a day. They need to take in more food and let their metabolism rise, because your metabolism is just going to, like I said before, balance out and match your intake.
Okay.
So they need to get back up to where they're taking in a healthy level of food where they can supply their body with all the nutrients and things that it needs, and their metabolism will rise in accordance.
So they won't necessarily see weight gain along that journey. They may or may not.
Yeah, they probably will see a little bit, but what that person is doing, their primary concern at that point should not be losing weight. They have messed up their metabolism through that low weight loss strategy for a prolonged period of time. They're trying to heal their body. They're trying to fix their health and get their metabolism back up to where it should be. If the short-term effect of that is in that process, they gain a few pounds, so be it. We're healing the body. Once they get back up to like, now I can eat 2,000 calories a day and I'm maintaining here.
Okay.
Now we can work on new weight loss strategies, that are healthier than the approach that they took before.
Wow. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. You're feeding the body back to where it should be.
Where it should be, yeah.
And then from there, you can craft how you're eating your protein, fats, carbs, activity levels, all of that.
Yeah, now you can start focusing on the things that matter, like instead of cutting calories, your activity levels, your sleep, eating the right foods that make your body healthy so that you can gain the aesthetics that you want to in a healthy way, actually nourishing your body and allowing things to form the way that you want them to.
Now, we've heard before, and I don't necessarily know how this works. So a client will be eating X amount of calories, and then they stall out with weight loss. They were losing weight healthy, right? Dropping slowly, okay?
Yep. So they're eating...
They were eating, let's say they were eating 1,500 a day, and they were seeing weight loss from that.
Okay.
And then it stalls. I've seen and heard Bob talk about this where they do a refeed, okay? Increase carbs, calories, or both, and they start losing weight again. Why would that be, or is that not accurate? Am I misinterpreting that? I've heard him talk about that before and other coaches, how they do refeeds, it sparks something in the metabolism.
I think there's probably too much complexity to this question to answer, and it might be a very individual thing.
Sure.
I don't think this is I think this is the sort of strategy that you would want to work with someone like Bob, who knows when it's appropriate. I can't say why that would happen. Or whether it would always happen. I think there might be some specific instances where they've strategized ahead of time to make that work at specific times, and that they're manipulating something in the physiology.
Yes, that's what I didn't know.
But I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to see like what the 12-week, 16-week plan was and where they were putting those in and for what reason.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, you've heard of that though.
Well, I've heard the term refeed is used a lot in a lot of contexts for various different things.
Yeah.
But as far as that one, I haven't heard much about it or learned anything about it. So.
Okay. All right. Now, is there a difference with consuming fat calories versus high glycemic carbs, and how they affect the body and how they're digested? Like fat digests differently than the high glycemic carbs. Can you explain that?
Um,
So if you have an avocado,
yeah.
and then or you have a Snickers bar, same amount of calories. Is there a difference in how that's digested and used in the body?
Well, yeah. I don't know that that's necessarily too important. Yeah, I mean, fats and carbohydrates are digested differently to get into the bloodstream, and then they're shuttled to different areas of the body. Carbohydrates are typically used to replenish glycogen in the liver and muscles. If there's more carbohydrates than you need, the liver will convert them into triglycerides and send them to fat storage.
Okay.
Fats get digested; they go right into the bloodstream, and they you get moved throughout the body to either be used as fuel or used by cells for various needs, building membranes, whatever, or they just get stored as fat.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, there's a difference in how that's done. I don't think that's too important to talk about. Aside from the long-term effects that we've already mentioned, where an excessive carbohydrate diet leads to issues with more insulin being released, possibly more inflammation depending on where the carbs are coming from.
Yep.
Fats tend to be a little bit healthier for reasons we've discussed in other podcasts, if you're eating the right kinds of fats. So yeah, to me, it's more a matter of food quality and what long-term effects they have on the body.
Sure. Yeah, that's a reoccurring theme with this conversation. Food quality over quantity.
Yeah, and maybe so when people are thinking about calories, let's see, how do I want to phrase this? What I want people to think about first is their health. So when we talk about like when the calorie thing comes up, it's like, do calories matter? Is a calorie, whatever. Like people want to know, do calories matter? Matter for what is my question. And most people are talking about for weight loss. Do calories matter for weight loss?
Yep. Yeah, that's the topic.
Right. Yeah. And I want to switch people's mindset more to what matters for my health as opposed to what matters for weight loss.
100%.
Because actually they end up becoming one and the same. A lot of people have aesthetic goals. So people will say they want to lose 20 pounds, or they want to lose 40 pounds or whatever. Or guys will say, I want to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club, or I want to look like Chris Hemsworth when he plays Thor, or women like I want to look like this actress or this person who's in a bikini on this magazine cover, whatever. We have all this. We all have this image in our mind of what we want to look like aesthetically. People think like, I want to be skinny, I want to look lean, whatever. They think in terms like that. But really what they want to look like is healthy. All of those people that I mentioned are healthy. And I want people to realize that if they focus on health as their priority goal, part of healthy is also a healthy body fat percentage. Like that comes along for the ride.
Sure.
So instead of focusing on all these hacks around calories and stuff to try to get weight loss to occur, why don't we focus on the things that make us healthy and understand that a proper body fat percentage and good aesthetics just come along for the ride? Because that's when you picture what a healthy person looks like, they typically look the way that most of us want to look. They have a lean body,
Sure.
Maybe they're not like shredded or whatever, but they have the aesthetics that most people are aiming for.
Yeah. So the goal being they're pursuing health versus a hack being calories.
Right.
Like a short-term fix.
Yeah. Understand that. Understand that healthy part of being healthy is being that aesthetic that you want. So once we shift our focus to focusing on health, now we can stop worrying about calories so much, because calories aren't really all that important for health. They're not a useful concept there.
Sure.
Far more useful concepts are like, nutrient density. Am I getting foods that contain a lot of vitamins and minerals? Am I getting adequate protein? Am I getting healthy fats as opposed to inflammatory, unhealthy fats? Am I, not taking in all these processed, refined carbohydrates and sugar that wreck my health and so on?
Sure. Yeah, so by default, if they focus on that, your weight is going to adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
Almost naturally, without trying to do it directly.
Right. Yeah. And it's a much better approach,
Yeah. And it almost takes the pressure off the person, right? Like stepping on the scale every day. Did I lose a pound this week?
Right.
The focus in the system and the habit should be on eating the good quality foods and avoiding the crap.
Right.
And then how the body adapts is going to be the natural state for the body.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's very interesting. And that's what I was expecting. Like, this is how I do it.
Of course, yeah.
For sure. But, like I said, I've heard a handful of times, how many calories? I've been getting text messages that sort of sparked this. And I don't know, because I don't even think that way.
Right.
1,200 or 1,500. And, I went from 15 to 12 and I stopped losing weight. And I'm like, I don't even know how to address that because it's not how I think. And tell me about the foods you were eating, right? Like that, how I asked, how's your sleep and lifestyle? Like all the other stuff that attribute to health versus follow this metric to get to this number, and then it's just going to work out that way.
Right. So when when people are asking how many calories should I eat? How many calories should I eat? The amount of food that you eat, and that's really what people are talking about when they're talking about calories. It's how much food are you eating?
Yep.
The amount of food that you're eating does matter. That is important. But it's really hard to control through willpower because there's so many other things that are going to adjust without your knowing it. The amount of food that you eat does matter. The best way to make sure that your body just naturally falls into the right amount of food, though, is to eat healthy foods. If you're getting, let's say, adequate protein. We know that most people don't eat enough protein. We meet a lot of people that are only eating 40 grams, 50 grams a day, and they're overweight, right? And you can simply tell them, try getting 100 grams a day or 120 grams a day, get them up to a healthy protein level, and all of a sudden they start losing weight. Now, they didn't have to look at calories or anything like that. So why did they lose weight? It's because they made their diet a little bit healthier. Protein is satiating. So now, this is part of being healthy. When you're in an unhealthy state, a lot of things are off in your body, like hormone levels and various signaling, pathways and stuff. So if in this particular example, you're eating more protein, now you're getting more of the satiety hormones. You feel full longer, and that's just a healthy hormonal state that leads to you eating less food. So like I said, the amount of food that you eat does matter, but instead of me telling this person, eat less food, that's going to get you to lose weight, I can say, get more protein in your diet, and that puts them in a healthier hormonal state in terms of these satiety hormones. And the natural result of that is that they eat less food because they feel satiated.
And that's like a natural equilibrium.
Right.
Yeah, and that's sort of what we're going after.
That was my point, is that when you are healthy, you're in a natural equilibrium that is going to be at a healthy body weight, among other things. But so that was an example of satiety hormones, but it could be anything else. Someone could have a lifestyle or a diet that that causes high cortisol, right? And then you get them to change the things in their diet and their lifestyle that make their cortisol levels healthy, and now weight falls off, right?
Yeah.
Or people are eating foods that cause, maybe lots of refined carbohydrates that cause hyperinsulinemia, more insulin than we want. So you get them to change their diet to healthier foods, and now their insulin levels come down, and now they lose weight, Or maybe people have a lifestyle or diet that causes their testosterone levels to be low. And you get them weight training, sleeping right, eating healthier foods, and their testosterone levels go up. And then the natural result is that their body composition changes and they become leaner. So there's all these people want these good aesthetics and they want to lose weight and stuff, but the focus on calories is it never works in the long term, and it only works as a hack in the short term. But when you focus on fixing all of these health issues that are a little out of whack, then your body composition changes the way that you were seeking.
Yeah.
And that's why when it comes to like food, is a calorie a calorie? We're asking, like, are all foods the same? Is 100 calories of Pepsi the same as 100 calories of baked salmon? No, because of the way that the Pepsi will ruin your health and cause all of these things to go out of whack that leads to overconsumption or fat gain that's unintended or whatever. And then the baked salmon leads to all these positive health outcomes that lead to effortless weight loss because you're just improved health.
I love that answer. And you simplified that nicely for people. And to summarize, they're chasing health.
Yes,
True
they
health.
should be. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Your body is going to adapt naturally once everything is in that homeostasis. It's going to be the weight and the look and the feel
that you want,
but what it should be.
Yeah, but what it should be. Yeah.
Because the body's not saying, I want to be 50 pounds overweight for fun, right?
Right.
It's just, it is where it is, right?
Yep.
And this is how I viewed things for years, a lot of it through your help. And I know that's how you view things. And a lot of people on this next level
Yes.
is they're looking at their health as like a part-time job, right? Like how analyzing the qualities, of the food, the poison they're taking in or not taking in, the sugar consumption, the sleep, the strength training, right? Like they're chasing health. And not a number or any kind of analytics specific to that will tell them how they should feel.
And the way that I look at food is, how good for me is this food? I don't care about the calories. Like if someone offers me a donut that's 200 calories or 300 calories, and someone offers me, a steak and some vegetables that's 600 calories, I don't say, I'll take the donut because that's 300 calories. I'm trying to watch my calories.
Yes.
I'll take the 600 calorie steak and donut any day. I don't worry about over consuming really healthy foods because they have the effect of not allowing you to overeat. That if I consume 600 calories of steak, I'm going to be full for hours. Like healthy foods are going to regulate in a way where you don't overconsume. Whereas unhealthy foods like processed foods and stuff, they're made for overconsumption. They're going to not satisfy you. They're going to cause lots of cravings, crazy blood sugar excursions. They're engineered to make us overeat. They're hyper palatable, all this kind of stuff. So it's not about like how many calories are in these things. It's how good for you is the food.
There would be an interesting survey to put that out there.
Yeah.
Just a general segment of the population. You have a 200 calorie donut and you have a 600 calorie steak with vegetables.
Yeah.
What would you choose based on your lifestyle and goals?
Yeah.
It'd be very interesting. I don't know how that would turn out.
To your first question, which one of those is going to cause you to gain more fat? The 600 calorie, the heavier meal is going to cause you to gain more fat immediately, like in the hour after eating or whatever. You just consumed more energy.
Sure.
But in the long term, a lifestyle where you're feeding yourself that way versus the other way, you're going to be much leaner if you're eating the healthier foods.
Long term.
Yep, healthier and leaner.
That's huge. So we know that people care about calories in many cases more so than so many of these other, protein, fat, carb amounts, and minerals and nutrients. And right, when you look at the ingredient label on a food, the biggest number on the ingredient label is calories.
Yeah.
And you see in the grocery store all the time, people flip it over and they, I know a percent are looking at the ingredients, right? What's in it, sure. Hopefully. But the ingredients are the smallest.
Yeah.
At the bottom, when it should be, these are the caps, right? Especially the poison. And then the calories at the bottom, because it is somewhat insignificant, right?
Yeah.
At a level, right, that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But, I would say, and this is guessing, but I would say 80% of average people are concerned and consumed with the amount of calories they're eating,
Yeah.
as opposed to what we're discussing in this conversation.
Because of a lot of misinformation. I mean,
Yes.
it does make sense. You can understand how they fell into this way of thinking in like the 80s and so on, where it was like, well, you eat more food, you gain weight. You eat less food, you lose weight. So calories are what counts. Like, eat less calories, lose weight. More calories, gain weight. And that so it makes intuitive sense to us until you understand how the body works and how foods actually affect all these various physiological processes. Some making your body work better, some making your body work worse. So I totally understand how people have that mindset where they just focus on the calories. But that's the thing that we want to get them to shift away from, is realizing that the quality of the food is so much more important than the caloric content.
100%. Do you have any recommendations for people in terms of books or anything on this topic, or podcast people other than ourselves that they can dive in farther, or not really? Because I don't. I know there was Good Calories, Bad Calories.
That was probably
by Gary Taubes.
That was a fantastic book.
And then he wrote a follow-up book, which I would recommend more so, was Why We Get Fat.
Why We Get Fat, yeah.
That was more of a simplified version of Good Calories, Bad Calories.
Jason Fung wrote a book called The Obesity Code, which is very easy to read. That's a good one.
Yep.
But no, I mean, aside from that, I can't really think of any books or podcasts or authors or anything.
Those are three good ones.
Those are great ones.
Those are phenomenal.
I mean, Mark Sisson's The Primal Blueprint, I thought was fantastic. Rob Wolf's The Paleo Solution.
Yep, that's on my bookshelf.
Yeah. Those are great books for understanding how different foods affect your body and why some foods are unhealthy and lead to problems and fat gain, while other foods are healthy and lead to health and then leanness. Yep. I like all of those.
Okay.
And those are all easy to read too.
They are. And, so for people listening, to clarify and to end this conversation, stop obsessing about the calories, focus on overall health, healthy lifestyle, healthy quality foods. Yep. When a package in the store says low calories, right? Ignore it. Who cares?
What's in it? That's what matters.
What's in it, exactly. This is a big topic, it's common sense to some, but for many it's not. And so that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you. Anything else for people before we start?
No, I mean, my thing that I want people to take away is focus on health first over weight loss. I mean, even if what you really want more than anything is to lose that 30 pounds or fit into that dress or whatever, realize that health is going to get you there. And have many other benefits aside that are even more important than the dress size.
Sure.
But stop focusing on I want to get skinny and focus instead on I want to get healthy.
Awesome. And for people that don't understand what true health is, read. Research. Figure that out, because I think a lot of people correlate that to being skinny. And that we know firsthand that does not mean that you're healthy.
Nope, not at all.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Andy, thank you. Great conversation. We're signing off. Everyone, thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
See you later.